listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. 'Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Dolphins. It's lunchtime on Thursday, so you know what that means. It's lunchtime with Krantz and Sarney. I'm here with my buddy Zach Krantz at 560 WQAM. How are you, Zach?
Sarney, we're good down here in South Florida. Obviously, if anyone is watching or listening, you know what just happened over the last 24 hours, and Hurricane Milton ran through the state. We were lucky down here in South Florida. We don't always get lucky, but we were this time. The people in Central Florida and West Florida, like on the west side, not so lucky. And thoughts and prayers are out with everyone out there. They've had a disastrous month and change through two hurricanes with, by the way, two more on the horizon out there in the Atlantic. So you never know what's going to end up happening with that are storms not to be named yet. But we're thinking about all the people here in Florida, in the Carolinas and Tennessee. It goes all the way up. It's not just here. It's not just the hurricane hitting Key West and South Florida. It's all over the place at this point. So we want to make sure we're thinking about all you up there, especially the Floridians, South Floridians. We did get lucky, but I know that you guys did not. So, like I said, thoughts and prayers with everyone out there. Glad to be back with you, Sarney. It's been a couple weeks. I want to thank also one of the great sponsors that we have here at DolphinsTalk.com, Caneswear, the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Dolphins, the Heat, the Hurricanes, Panthers, all the professional and college teams here in South Florida. And if you're looking for the latest jersey, you got a birthday gift to give, like I do for my son this weekend. By the way, my son got a Yankees jersey from my brother. I can't believe that. Or the newest hat to hit the market from one of your favorite South Florida teams. Go to Caneswear. They have an overwhelming selection of sports apparel. They're unbelievable out there. They're right here in Davie, by my house, 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Caneswear has it all. And if you're not in South Florida, don't worry about it. Go to caneswear.com, shop their inventory from the comfort of your own home. They'll ship it to you, international fans as well. Caneswear.com, the spot that Miami fans shop. Go to caneswear.com for everything sports-wise apparel that you're going to need. It is the place to go, the place to be.
Well, Zach, when I do get down there, and of course, I just want to corroborate, thoughts and prayers. My parents definitely are the snowbirds. They have not gone down yet. They're kind of hanging back here until everything's there, kind of settled. And of course, thoughts and prayers to all friends, family, and all Dolphins fans all over the place, especially in Tampa. So, when I do get down there, I do look forward to seeing you, getting down. I believe I'll get down there for fan weekend. So we have a couple of weeks until that, which is the supposed Tua comeback. Now, I don't know exactly if that's going to come to fruition. If you have any, thoughts on that, we'll put a pin in it for a minute, but we do have to talk about last week's game against the Patriots. Not the prettiest of wins, but it was a win. What are your thoughts?
Listen, in the NFL, Sarney, you know this by being an NFL fan, you win on the road, that's like a double win. It's always nice to get a win on the road. And I know New England stinks. They're starting Drake May this week coming up. We ended the Jacoby Brissett era in New England, I think, forever at this point, right? We had him down here, now we ended it. It was ugly. There was no passing game. Thank goodness for the run on both sides. Couldn't stop the run, and you ran the ball pretty well there also for the Dolphins. I looked at this game, and the first thing that comes to my mind is special teams stunk. Something needs to be fixed there. I don't know what the heck happened in the special teams. Sarney, we talked about it after week one. I would have given my MVP for the week to Bailey, to Sanders, to Crossman in week one after that victory, outside of John Holland, who secured that victory, because special teams was great. Since then, they have been garbage. They have been bad. They have been really bad. And last week was kind of the icing on the cake for it. A lot of coaches don't make it through a bye week when they have a week like that, especially when you're a coordinator. I'm surprised that Danny Crossman's still there. But I'm not in the firing kind of I don't make the decisions there for the Miami Dolphins. I probably would have gotten rid of him at that point. Probably would have gotten rid of him about a year and a half ago at that point as well. But you got the win. That's all that matters. You're 2-3 on the season. And honestly, Sarney, with Tua out, and you're telling me we're 2-3 and we're a couple of weeks away from Tua coming back. I know it's been doom and gloom for a lot of fans out there, including myself. I'm happy. I'm kind of happy with where they are. They have a tough. The schedule doesn't look as tough as it did, before the season when you're kind of looking and going win loss. If Tua could come back, this team could get a little bit healthier and get a couple of guys back here, as you saw Odell Beckham back last week. Nothing really happened with him, but that'd be great. The Jaylen Phillips stuff stinks. Obviously we're a couple of weeks, from that. That stinks. But at this point, you're 2-3. Tua is hopefully coming back. You have a chance to really, still solidify yourself in the AFC East, I want to say, because no team is really, taken the realm yet. I know Buffalo, and the Jets have a big game on Monday night. Hopefully the Jets don't win that game. If Buffalo stays there, that's fine. But Sarney at 2-3 right now. I never thought I'd be optimistic and happy, but I think I am right now.
You know what? It's funny. It's like it could be worse.
Right.
I mean, when you have to break it down like that, and what they did on Sunday, I have to give credit and kudos, and I think many people are, to Mike McDaniel for not just sticking with the run early. Even when you lose Achane to a concussion, they still rushed the ball 18 times collectively in the first half. So when you turn that into 41 and 7 runs in a row on that go-ahead score by Ingold, he set that up with his blocking. Even better, double kudos to give the fullback the touchdown and say thank you from Jaylen Wright and Raheem and Coach McDaniel. That's our gift to you, Alec Ingold. So he's the MVP, kind of the unsung. And then, of course, you got to talk about rookie Jaylen Wright, who kind of broke out, and he looked good doing it. Oh, a penalty away from what a breakout. But, he's a guy you got to give, in my philosophy, you got to look at this three-headed rushing attack. 4 if you include Ingold. Right. And I love what Devon Achane, when healthy, can do as a pass catcher. You got to give those tough, gritty inside runs or even outside runs, whatever, to Wright and Mostert. And you got to mix in Achane more, even though we've been doing it a lot. More. He's averaging 4.2 yards per catch, Achane. So when we're off the bye and he gets back, I'd pepper him with targets. He is very much on pace. I'm going to give you a great name. You're going to love this name. He is in kind of approaching territory, albeit early, to breaking the Dolphins' receptions record for a running back. Terry Kirby, as a rookie in 1993, had 75 receptions. Right now, he would need from week 6 on or week 7 rather, to average 4.5 receptions a game. He's at 4.2 right now, 4.6 rather. It was a decimal point there. So I would say three-headed attack, not, Achane more rushing when he comes back, Wright rushing, Mostert rushing, Achane, Terry Kirby role. What are your thoughts on that?
Love it. I totally see it. He's the best receiving running back right now out of those 3. Love how they gave Alec Ingold a little ice cream last week. He needed that. He deserved it. He's playing really well. Very passionate guy on this team. One of the captains, one of the main guys in the locker room, I think, to speak up when something is going right or wrong. And you like that there. But Sarney, I mean, I don't know how long people have been watching me and you talk together. We've been talking about Jaylen Wright since the day he got drafted and excited about what he has and what he can bring to this team. And let me tell you, when you can run the ball 13 times for 86 yards, get a 6.6 average, and have one called back that should have been another big one, I'm ready to see what this kid's got the rest of the season. I'm not ready to shelf Raheem Mostert or not give Achane carries. I get that. But he needs to get some more touches. He needs to be in this rotation, not the only rotation when a guy is out kind of mode. He needs to be in the rotation at this point. Love Mostert, love Achane, and I do think Achane's got to be in there more when you pass the ball, even if you got to put him sort of in the slot, and move him around, whatever the case may be. Get him some bubble screens, get him some, quick hits, and let him run the ball. He's quick, he's explosive, and he's fun to watch. But I'll tell you, nothing made me happier than to see Jaylen Wright get the rock 13 times on the ground, if not more, with penalties, and really show what he's got. This is something we needed on this team, on this offense, a little spark. He brought it, and it's going to be fun to watch in the rest of the year. The passing game was not there, even though Huntley threw for 200 yards, no touchdowns, or almost 200 yards, I think $194. that game is just not here right now. And when it's not here, you got to run the rock. And if Wright's going to be that other guy, I'm excited, Sarney. I'm excited to see what the next couple of weeks and the game plan that Mike McDaniel puts together, because there's a lot of pressure on him to right this ship. And you're 2-3. You're not 1-4. You're not 0-5. The season's not over yet, even though at halftime I was ready to fire everybody. Chris Grier, Crossman, McDaniel, the janitor, the lady who passed out the drinks. I wanted everyone cleared out and fired. I took a step back, took a deep breath. We won the game. They bought themselves a week in my mind to get themselves prepared over this bye week. And Mike McDaniel's got to come out in this next game, and he's got to show me something here.
Exactly. I mean, what we said was adjust a couple of weeks ago, you know, and what he did was that. And here's a scary stat, which plays to more running, because the passing game, as you said, is just not there without Tua. Even with Tua, briefly, albeit so far this season, not another receiver other than Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill has multiple receptions this year. Not a one. Not a one. You have obviously Jonnu Smith getting multiple, Achane, even, Julian Hill has 3. No wide receiver other than our top 2 has multiple catches across the entire year. So Odell Beckham, you get a couple of targets, an interception is kind of, the conclusion to one of those targets. No catches. Is he the third wide receiver? Who is the third wide receiver on this team? So when Tua does come back, so it's a little easier for anybody throwing the ball.
You want to know who I think the third wide receiver is?
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
I think it's a two-headed monster between Achane and Jonnu Smith.
Fine.
Like that, and you know what? I know that me and you are on the same boat here. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting Jonnu Smith. Get Jonnu Smith more into the game. At this point, you saw what happened when you gave him 8 targets. He caught the ball 5 times, 62 yards. You saw what he could do there. When Achane's healthy, he's another guy, like you said. He's getting 4.2, 4.4. Give him 5 or 6 catches a game. Beautiful. See what he could do with the ball there. You don't necessarily need an Odell Beckham at the 3 wide receiver mark. If he could get himself into that role, and he's got some time now, hopefully, that's fine. I would like everyone to know their role by week 10, week 12. And when I mean that, I mean really be solidified in their role. Because if Odell's going to be that 3 guy, then by then, maybe even by then, it's River Craycraft who comes back and takes maybe a bigger, position in this offense. I think at this point, you get Jonnu Smith involved as much as you can, because you're going to need him if you want to try to get to the postseason. And Achane, you already know, is automatic for a couple catches a game, and he's going to bust 1, 18, 20 yards. So that's good too. Let the other wide receivers find their way into this offense. When River Craycraft comes back, Odell Beckham, if it's a Berrios, whoever it is at that point. But yeah, I'm okay with a 2-headed monster as my third wide receiver, and that being Achane and Jonnu Smith. I'd like to see Jonnu involved more, and we saw it last week. Now I want to see it week by week.
Not only week by week, I want to see more consistency with Jonnu in the red zone. For once, the Dolphins are still searching for that tight end touchdown, and I think that he is the guy to do it eventually. Now, I want to talk about the defense, but we're transitioning from a bye week to go on the road again to the Colts. But let's just briefly touch on what the defense is doing. I mean, you have to give extreme credit to Anthony Weaver, who's literally doing his unit better than anyone else, is stopping opponents on third down. And as what Javon Holland said, and obviously hope that he gets back, and he's kind of week to week right now with his own injury, but he said it's the defense's job to give the ball back to the offense. Zach, no one's done it better than this unit. What does that kind of do when an offense isn't clicking and when your quarterback's out? Are they rising up, or are they getting frustrated? Where do you think they are going into a bye week?
I think, considering who they played last week, it was more of the offense isn't working. We need to settle down and win this game for this team. And they did. They give up that touchdown early to Stevenson. What was that, in the first quarter? And then a field goal after that the entire game. New England's offense isn't very good. So, I don't want to necessarily give Anthony Weaver too many flowers here, but that defense looked good against a bad team, and that's fine. The Colts, we're talking about possibility of Joe Flacco in a couple weeks. Anthony Richardson, maybe if he's healthy. I don't even know at that point, but it's maybe going to be Flacco. Flacco's going to throw the ball downfield, so Weaver's going to have a different person to get ready for there. Or Richardson's going to try to throw the ball downfield and use his legs. it's two different quarterbacks to get ready for. Weaver's got his hands full with that game, even though the Colts aren't, world beaters at that point. It's two different guys to get ready for. Weaver did a good job against New England. Again, I want to see it more. He lost Holland. That's going to be a tough one. He lost Phillips. That's a tough one. So at this point, what else you got? And that's what you have to work with. Whatever else you have, work with it. And you have to make sure that it's going in the right direction at this point. You don't want any setbacks here coming up against the Colts, coming up against the Cardinals in any of these games. You're 2-3. And if the defense steps it up a little bit while Tua is out, this team can stay afloat. It's when another part of the team just goes right into the gutter, like the special teams, where you have to worry. So as long as, like I said, the defense and Anthony Weaver have good game plans that come out and play, and unsung heroes come out of nowhere at certain points. I think the biggest unsung hero on this defense right now is someone that I love to death. Great guy, former Walter Payton Man of the Year. Calais Campbell has played such a good role in this defense so far. Limited or not, when he's out there, did you expect to see Calais Campbell, especially when he goes to try to block one of those punts or field goals and he lays all the way out? He looks like an extended table at my Rosh Hashanah dinner. Like, it's crazy the way how big he is. So I want to see exactly how this defense can work without some key pieces now that are out, without Holland, without Phillips, and then with some key pieces hopefully coming back in the next couple of weeks. No idea what's going on with Chubb, but if you give him a little bit more weapons or a couple more weapons, I think that Anthony Weaver is going to be able to turn this defense into a pretty good defense before the season is over. Offense needs to stay afloat, and the special teams need to get their heads out of their you-know-what, because if they are the problem each week, this team's not going to win very many games against good teams.
Absolutely. And this is the week that you have to fix any problem. There's enough time where you have to fix it. So when you go on the road against a beatable opponent in the Colts, who are dealing with quarterback injuries, wide receiver injuries, I believe Pittman is dealing, with something. And you're going up against a guy, you're going up against good offensive, weaponry. I believe Jonathan Taylor, unless, he should be ready to roll. That's a guy that the Dolphins once coveted. So, there's worrisome people that the Dolphins have to account for, but Weaver has done the second half adjusting, I think, better than really almost any defensive coordinator. It's like he's put up goose eggs several times. So this offense is going to a place where there's no weather. So let's just take out of that. It's early enough in the year and it's an indoor stadium. So cut weather out, cut any stupid weather out. And you're dealing with an absolutely beatable opponent. And I would say 41 times, not enough. Do it a couple of more. Mike McDaniel had 43 rushing attempts against the Denver Broncos last year. We all know how that game worked out. They were different wins from this Sunday and last year against the Broncos. But I would say if you rush the ball 45 times and you just disperse those carries, you get Achane involved in the passing attack, get him 12 to 15 touches, get Wright 15 rushes, get Mostert 19 rushes. Now you're talking Ingold 2 or 3, Huntley couple of runs. Why the heck not? I don't care if Huntley has to throw 9 times. Another thing, one more passing yard against the Patriots from Huntley than team rushing yards. 194 to 193. They got the win on the road. That's all I care about. And defensively, to flip it back, Zach Sealer, my God. I mean, I'm going to admit, as much as I loved and always thought he was a terrific player, I kind of forecasted last year with Christian Wilkins leaving. I'll admit it. This dude was probably a cause and effect last year of the production from Wilkins rather than maybe vice versa. And of course, I hope Christian Wilkins gets better from his own deal, but Zach Sealer is probably pound for pound, sack for sack, tackle for tackle, the most underappreciated player on defense in the league. Because matched up with Calais Campbell, who's exceeding expectations as a veteran, playing like he's in like a fountain of youth back in college. No pun intended, because that's where he went to college. He's back home, So this is a really fun inner dynamic with the defense, and it's almost like the movie The Program when Joe Kane went out. Remember, the defense had to pinch shutouts, until he got back. It's almost like that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing, minus a touchdown sprinkled across 5 weeks. So let's talk. That's
the saddest thing. Sorry, that's the worst part. The fact that the stat comes up and the announcer has to, say it's been 11 quarters since they scored a touchdown. It's been 12 quarters, been whatever it is. Like, that is just, to me. And real quickly before you go on, Sarney, because I know we got a little more to go. Cap for Life, who's commenting here. I love the fact that you're
great. Cap for Life.
I love you, Cap for Life. I'll never internet fight you here, But I say this about Tua because this offense is built around Tua. This offense is built for Tua. And I know that you keep saying, "Oh, well, we're waiting." Yeah, we're waiting for Tua to come back to see what he's got. This offense is not built for Huntley, for any backup quarterback, including Skylar Thompson. It's not. It's built for Tua. Without him in there, you can't see what the full offense can do. I know they stunk before Tua kind of went out with the injury. They didn't look very good, but the offense is built for him. So as long as he comes back, they have a better chance on offense than they do with any other of these guys. He might not be the greatest quarterback in the league, but he could be one of the better quarterbacks for this system. He's a system quarterback, and this is his system. Cap for life, I love you. But that's my thought. That's my opinion. That's the way I feel about this.
I got to piggyback on that because as much as I love Cap for life and appreciate him, you are the man. Very, very good and strong opinions. But you're absolutely right, Zach, because it's almost like if I want to give sort of a analogy to it. The movie Ford versus Ferrari?
Yeah.
You ever see that? You got a car that's one of the best racing cars ever produced that only a certain guy could drive. It's a car that only a certain guy could operate. And when, whatever Christian Bale's character was, when he got behind that car, he operated it perfectly and pretty much was the best in the world. When anyone else tried, couldn't control it, couldn't shift, couldn't gear, couldn't time it right. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing in my mind. When Tua's in there, he knows when things, of course, are going status quo as they should, on the money. Tyreek's there, it'll get there. Waddle's there, it'll get there. 2 seconds, half a second, he'll get the ball out. Not many quarterbacks can use this offense to the best of their attributes. Right. This is a perfect marriage of quarterback attribute and coaching need to run his scheme and offense. And that is kind of rare. Joe Flacco is not that guy. Drop back, sling it. Anthony Richardson, not that guy. Drop back, create, sling it, or run it. These are completely different offenses and quarterbacks where we're dealing on scouting. And I love you, Cap for life, but I'm going with my guy Zach here, not just as my co-host, because I truly believe it. If you put Tua in another team, asking him to drop back and create, it might not work. Right. But that's not saying that Tua is a bad quarterback, or I'm not trying to say he is a system quarterback, but he is the system of this team.
Right.
Sorry if that's hypocritical or kind of going both ways. You know what I mean?
Sarney, it's not. It's
I
not
hate the system quarterback.
But you know what, Sarney? He's a system quarterback because this is his system. Right. I don't know how he would do in other offenses. I have no idea. Maybe he'd be great. Maybe he wouldn't. But I know in this system, and we saw it last year, when he's healthy, when he's out there, when he's playing, and this team is working on all cylinders, it's because the offense is the way it is, and it's scoring 30 points a game. It's scoring this. I'm going to let Tua come back, and I'm going to give him a 2 to 3 week window before I start railing on Tua for not running this offense the way it should. Because if he comes back and all of a sudden the offense looks great again for 2 or 3 straight weeks, all the people, including Cap for life, are going to say, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe Tua is the guy. If you don't believe in Tua, it doesn't matter what he does out there on the field. It doesn't matter at all. I'm a Dolphin fan. As long as the Dolphins are paying Tua, I have to root for Tua at this point. And they believe in him, then I'm going to believe in him also for this second. Now, 5 weeks from now, could be a different story. But right now, if I told you Tua could come back against the Colts and not be Huntley and not be someone else, there's a different story there because you're going to take Tua 10 times out of 10 over Huntley, over Boyle, over this guy, over that guy, Skyler, whatever it is. You're going to take Tua at that point. So that's what I am. I'm optimistic about Tua because I need to be at this point. And I want to be. How about that? Forget about need to be. I want to be optimistic at this point.
That's the way to go because this is a team that in an ideal situation, they rest up, they go into the Colts and they get a win. So they go to 500. And then you don't have a cakewalk by any means. The Cardinals, they got talent. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., there's worry there. And then you go to Buffalo, you go to LA. That's a rough back and forth. That is a triangle of terror in travel. And, the Rams aren't the Rams of their Super Bowl, and they have injuries. But it's a cross-country trip. You're off. I believe it's a primetime game. We all know that. So you got to take care of business against the teams that you shouldn't worry about beating you outright, and that's the Colts. So our show could be a lot different, after that game. But with the bye week, let's look ahead a couple more minutes, and then I do got to, get out at 12:30, everyone. But thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you taking time on your lunch. If you want to just dissect the Cardinals to think that Tua is coming back for them, what are your thoughts with that matchup at home, fan weekend? Kind of paint me a picture there. Hate to skip over the Colts, not doing that.
Right.
But hopefully, regardless of the scenario, that is the game week 8, October 27 against the Cardinals. Tua's returning.
I'll be honest with you. If Tua is returning for that week, my optimism level is higher than it's been since week 1, or right up there, because I've seen what it's like without Tua now. And that's the difference. I've seen what this offense and what this team looks like without Tua. And it's a prove me wrong type of thing here. And Caprolette just wrote that right when I said that. It's a prove me wrong type of situation where if he's in there and this offense turns around and looks so much different, he's proving everyone wrong. If he goes in there and has a bad game, we're going to all say it's a hiccup. It's his first game back. That's fine. Then the week after that, like you said, we're talking about LA and Buffalo in a 2-week span. There's no excuses at that point. Either he's the guy or he's not the guy then and there. What sucks for Tua is the offense doesn't look anything like the offense did without him. And then when he comes back, we have to get back to that point. Otherwise, he's going to get ripped and criticized, him and Mike McDaniel. So there's that optimistic Dolphin fan oozing out of me a little bit. The kind of pessimistic one, I've shelved him for about a week or two, but I know he's going to itch his head up, especially if they lose one of these couple games coming up or a couple of these games coming up. I'm just hoping when Tua comes back, the season can be turned around. And Cap for Life is right about another thing. Maybe the identity of this offense isn't anymore to throw the ball downfield 100 times and try to get 400 yards a game. Maybe it's 195 yards passing and 150 yards rushing each week. If that wins games, I don't care. I don't care about the stats outside of my fantasy football team. I want the Dolphins to win. And that whatever it takes to win at that point, I'm ready for it. And if Tua doesn't like it, who cares?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, even when he comes back, if the formula works, let's say hypothetically, bouncing around here, they run a lot, they win against the Colts, don't need Tua to drop back, throw 35 times. Just hand it off, dump it off, H-hand, boom, 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 boom. So, that's really it. Got a jet in a couple minutes, but before that, what's going on, Zach, with you at 560 and anything cooking on your end?
All right, well, Krantz's Corner still going strong at this point. We still have the Dolphins Roundtable. We have the Ja'Cory Harris Show every week. Ja'Cory joins me, former Canes quarterback, to go over all the stuff going on with the Canes. Zach of the Nose Fantasy Football, we got you covered also. Krantz's Corner kind of all over the place at this point. Basketball and the Heat are starting soon. The Panthers also. So we go all over in South Florida sports and nationally as well. But our normal stuff each week going to still be up there no matter what. We'll post some extra stuff when we can. And once again, thoughts, prayers, and everything for everyone on the west coast of Florida and throughout the state of Georgia, Carolinas, Tennessee. Stay strong. Hopefully you didn't lose everything, because I know I've heard some stories about that, and they're sad stories at this point. And to be honest, if you live in this region, don't blink, because there's going to be another storm coming, I'm sure, in another week or so, and then another one after that. Let's just get out of storm season as quickly as we can and move on at this point and get to the holidays, because everyone's going to need the holidays after this. This is just a mess here in the state of Florida.
Well said, Zach. And, I can't say much more. That was perfect. Just everyone, thoughts and prayers. Thank you for joining. Just try to enjoy your bye week as much as possible, and fins up, everyone. Take care.